You mentioned the creative space is changing in general in every single medium. Have you seen those pictures of artificial intelligence that's now making artwork? I've seen a few of them.
Yes.
Any thoughts on that? We're officially going to have to start competing with AI, maybe? Like,
I don't know. I haven't yet decided what I think of it. Honestly, I'm sort of like just existing as an observer of it at the time because it's so new, and it brings up questions of the value of creativity and the point of creativity and the process of creativity. And I guess I feel now if I had to say something about it, I'd say it's just a separate thing. It's like
mhm.
it's like it's art created by a machine, which is its own category because we are not machines. So as you can see, I don't have fully developed thoughts on it yet. Do I think it's, if I had to put it in terms of is it a good thing or a bad thing, I would go back to what I was saying before. Like, to me, it seems irrelevant, honestly, because it's like you're not going to stop that. Nobody's going to one day go, you know what, guys, we've got too much technology. Let's shut everything down. I mean, it would take cataclysm to arrest the changes technology has brought upon us. So I don't know that. I mean, whether I think AI art is a good or bad thing in some ways is irrelevant. So more of the question to me is like, what what does this do to our understanding of art? I find it a very challenging question.
I don't, I think we're still, again, very beginning stages, and we don't know where
Mm-hmm.
the end point is. I know some people are freaking out about it, thinking that, oh, this is the end of human creativity. Machines are gonna, they're gonna take over, and we're not gonna be able to compete with them. But I like this idea that you mentioned, that it's just a separate category. We don't have to compete against the machines. I guess if it comes down to it, you've got this AI. Okay, you're going to have a museum of AI generated art, and then you're going to have another museum with human made art. Also, I've read some tech articles. I'm not super familiar with AI, but a lot of tech people who are more in the field like to say that we're still not that far along with AI. Like, everything that AI is still doing is very basic. It still requires a
Mm-hmm.
lot of human input. And so I guess even what the AI is doing is in a way still very human based, because it's learning. Like, if you give it pictures of Monet and Van Gogh and Rembrandt and Da Vinci, and it's just going to take all this human made information and just smush it all together and make a new thing, which, kind of like you said, we're all influenced from one another. So it's like, if I look at
Sure.
100 paintings and then try to make my own painting, am I copying other people? Have I been entirely creative because I made a new painting? Or is it just, I have no actual original thought because I looked at 100 other paintings and then I made my, like, it's subjective. I think there is a very subjective topic, and AI is still very much learning. Like, it's still very much learning from humans, and I mean, it's not sentient in any way. So it's just, I guess, another regurgitation of human data, potentially.
Well, I think too of like I don't remember the exact story. I didn't know it would come up today. I would have looked into it more. But I remember reading about this ancient shield making technique of a metal shield that ancient craftspeople used to have a very particular way of doing. And over time, technology developed where you could make this shield without the use of all these ancient techniques. And
Mhm.
so a craft was lost to history. Nobody can do this anymore, this shield making technique, which is, you could tell it's done by hand. As you can see, it's been a while since I've read this, but nobody, it's lost. The craft is lost. Everybody knew how to do it is
Yeah.
dead. It's gone. And that's I think that's a legitimately lamentable thing.
Hmm.
However, what let's look at let's play devil's advocate on the other end here. The reason it went away is because the product that was needed could be made without that craft. Even though the craft was a beautiful thing unto itself, a shield is a very practical thing. It needs to work a certain way, and if you can accomplish that with machinery and technology, then from a practical standpoint, do you need the craftsmanship anymore? So, I don't think AI is anywhere close to replacing what we get from human made art. So I don't think human made art is going to go away like that shield making technique because Not yet, anyway. We haven't figured out how to replace that certain something about human art, the choices that go into it, and the reflection of our values and our comments we make that are very much like symbol mongering creatures making art, not like AI, which is more, it can follow orders and fill in the blank and paint by numbers and stuff like that. Even skew those things in interesting ways. But that's still not creativity. They're still responding to, well, human made things. They're responding to human made art, and they're using human made cues to manipulate that art. And so I just don't know that not in our lifetimes anyway, is it going to replace. I don't see how it could, because the need, that yearning to make art and to partake of the art of other humans is still there and can't be replaced by a machine. Not yet, anyway.
You're right. I That just made me think how we were speaking in the beginning. You called it an obsession. I called it an affliction, and it's we have these feelings since we're kids. Honestly, we're the kids that love to read, and then take a dip into writing, and some of us get really gripped by it, and then we just keep doing it. AI is not like that. An AI machine isn't created and it has this desire to, I'm going to be a doctor, or like now they're talking about like robots helping with surgeries. I'm going to be a surgeon, or I'm going to work in an Amazon warehouse shipping out boxes of you know I don't know, bunch of random crap that people ordered and need out by tomorrow. Or it doesn't have that same desire
Mm-mm.
or need that we do. Doesn't have this need for creative expression, because like you said, yeah, it just responds to what we put into it. It's not in
Well,
any way doing anything on its own.
yeah, if you had a typewriter and put corn on specific keys, a chicken could peck out a short story. But
Mhm.
is that chicken sitting around one day in bed and going, "What if this guy lived on another planet?" And all of a sudden gets up and I got to write that down? No,
Yeah.
they're just pecking where we told them to peck. So
Mhm.
it's not that easy to just imitate the creative process. The output of the creative process is much easier to imitate. The actual creative process, it's by definition can only come from being creative, and
Yeah.
so far AI cannot create in that way. I don't know if they ever will be able to.
Yeah, I'm curious about that too. Probably won't happen in our lifetime as well. But yeah, it's I guess that goes into, will it ever become sentient? If we feed it enough human information, thoughts, feelings, artwork, mathematics, will it eventually kind of figure it all out and become sentient? I somehow don't think so, because I think our own human biology is millions of years old, and the tech has been around for what, like 20 years, 50 years
Yeah.
max. So it might take just as long for an AI to evolve to that point. I mean, I know people will
Well,
argue
and you're
that.
talking.
Sorry, I was just gonna
Sorry.
say, I know it might take. It might. They say it goes faster. Like an AI is gonna learn a lot faster than a human will.
Right.
But yeah, I have a feeling that it's still gonna take a really, really long time for it to get anywhere near the full human capacity.
I think you're right. I just don't think that we have to worry about that anytime soon because of the nature of creativity. Yeah, I don't think. I think we don't even understand what consciousness is, and we are conscious. Like, I don't know
Yes.
if you've heard that the actual term that philosophers have and theoretical physicists for consciousness. Do you know what kind of problem they call that? It's very highfalutin, fancy terms. Do you know what they
I
call
feel
it?
like I should know this because I did a philosophy minor and a neuroscience degree, and I don't know this term, or maybe I'll know it when you remind me.
Well, I know it because it makes me laugh. And they call it the hard problem. That's the official name for what is consciousness. It's called the hard problem
Oh yeah, yeah,
because all we know is we're experiencing it. That's all we know about consciousness. Even if we're a
yeah,
brain in a jar somewhere, we're experiencing consciousness. That's all we understand about it. So to think we could program something into machines that we don't even understand ourselves, it's kind of far fetched. And secondly, that to think that a machine could evolve consciousness. I mean, it took us, like you said, billions of years. I mean, even if machines went really, really fast, it's got to be at least a billion years, I would think, to achieve some sort of what we would think of as consciousness, enough to be creative. You know?
yes, yes, that's so true. I mean, my favorite one of my favorite things when I did my neuroscience degree was when I'd read my textbook, and they would describe a function of something and be like, oh, so this particular system of, let's say, neurotransmission, I don't know, or how the brain communicates. They're like, oh, it works like this, but we don't know how. And we don't know why it does it this way and not a
Hmm.
different way. And it was like really, it was really
Yeah.
great to see that. I'm like, I'm reading a $300 textbook and half of it says they don't know how or why it does this. Like that's, you know, so
Yeah.
like you said, we
Even
don't
language
even
we don't
know,
understand.
right? Like even we don't know what is going on in our own heads, not fully. We're a very, very long way away from figuring it all out. So I think by the time we figure out our own brains and then input it into an AI that's then going to figure it out, it's probably going to be a really long time.
And we will have changed. We will have evolved also. Of the time it's
Yes.
going to take for that to happen, we will be evolving also. Who knows where we'll be as a species? That's one of the things that I find amusing about us humans is we always think we've arrived at, okay, in the past they didn't understand physics and technology. We understand it now. Well, I mean, there was a conference held in like 1900. I forget which philosopher I was listening to talk about this, where they officially declared it was some science organization that we have discovered everything there is to discover. Well, that was 1900, and clearly they hadn't discovered everything. It's like this weird tendency of humans. It's like we go, social media has ruined humans. We had our chance at the internet. We messed it up. Oh well, everything's ruined. I'm like, well, you seem to be ready to stop more than I am. Like to me, it's like we're still going. We don't know where this is going. It could turn out to be the most beneficial thing to ever happen to human beings. And we're just going through growing pains right now. I guess I'm a pie-eyed optimist. I don't know, but I don't see why it can't be that way. I mean, we exist right now because evolution provided a lot of accidents and things go in ways which are unpredictable. And here we are.
Yeah, I mean, we survived a lot throughout human history for sure. I mean, a lot of people, I mean, everyone's been dead since, but you know, a lot of people had to
Yeah.
die in the process. Those that were stronger survived. And I mean, the internet too. The internet's been around for what, like from 25 years, like in the grand
More than
scheme
that,
of
but with
things.
the public. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking like from the 90s when people were actually able to start
Right.
using it and do some
Yeah.
basic web searches, you know, for that's only, yeah, like you said, 20, that's maybe that 25 years like that since the 50s maybe is when they really started it. But it's gonna keep changing. It's changed in the last even decade. We have no idea where it's going or where it's headed. We don't know the end game. And I think you're right, it's silly to stop like like at the beginning of this idea, when it's just like, oh yeah, oh, there people like to troll other people and shit post on Twitter a lot. Okay, I mean, if that's the peak of the internet,
We're in trouble.
we're in trouble. Like, I would like to think that the internet has got a lot more to offer than you know, people saying dumb stuff on Twitter or on whatever other platform. I don't know, people posting like naked pictures of themselves on Instagram. Like I have more faith in what we can provide to each other on this world in this
Hey, we
world.
gotta figure it out. We got to figure it out. And any technology, you're going to have a lot of, how do I put it? Non-thinking people are also going to use it. Like,
Hmm.
by any given metric, half of the population is below average. So when it comes to critical thinking and being responsible, like half the population is going to be terrible at it. So yeah, you're going to have a lot of nonsense, of course. You know, when Facebook first started, what I said is if you put a megaphone in the middle of town square and said anybody can come say anything and they want into it, smart people will say smart things, dumb people will say dumb things, idiots will
Yeah.
say idiotic things, rude people will say rude things. It's not the megaphone that's the problem. It's not the difference. Humanity is humanity, and we're always going to have this give and take of people going crazy and chaotic and not know what they're doing and doing bad things, and but also again what rises out of that, unless we destroy ourselves first. So what rises out of that is innovative things, new things, interesting things, humanity changing things.